Hello and welcome to the Oldham Cast.
Hello, Casey.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having us in your very lovely and very calming space.
Oh, it's lovely to meet you. So, could you, for our viewers and listeners, can you introduce yourselves?
You go first.
Oh no, you go. I'll go first. Hello, I'm Elliot Sparks. I am the chairperson of Pennine Mencap, which is a small independent charity for adults with learning disabilities and autism, based right here in sunny Oldham, but open to the wider community in surrounding boroughs.
Yes, lovely. I'm Emily. I'm one half of the activity coordinators at Pennine Mencap, so I get to do all of the fun stuff that goes on at Pennine Mencap, like the performances. I'm known as like the dancing girl in the office. All the workmen describe me as that because they often see me dancing around.
What a great thing to be known as!
It could be worse.
I don't know what I've been typecast as, but
we're not allowed to say that on air.
Apparently not.
So, could you tell us about Pennine Mencap?
Yes, we can.
You set this up so you can tell everyone.
Okay, yeah, so I've been around from day one, and essentially the mission at Pennine Mencap has always been from its inception, and now I'm very pleased to say through to what we're actually doing, to be the service that exists where there are gaps to fill, where there's an unmet need, where people with learning disabilities, autism, or often other complex needs that aren't quite categorised or diagnosed, and there's a lot of people in the community where they identify with our cohort and our community, or they are friends with people who are already service users of us, but they don't necessarily fit into established mainstream services. And we've always said we need to fill that gap and be the very flexible organisation that pops up where there is a need that doesn't fit in with commissioned work or what adult services are doing or what other day centres are doing. It's always been about being nimble. And here we are after 13 years of strife and joy in equal measures. And I feel like if from 13 years ago I'd look forward and seen where we are, I would really appreciate the fact that actually we've not gone off course. We've managed to start to achieve. We're not there yet, but we have started to achieve what we set out to do a very long time ago.
And you say you're not there yet. What are you aiming? What are your aims? What are your hopes?
I think the biggest way of expressing where we're up to at any given time, because there's so many factors about what we do. You know, we support over 100 people, well over 100 people. Any given day we have upwards of 30, sometimes upwards of 40 different people in the centre for activities or support. And there's loads of things you could kind of measure it by, and that makes it hard. Something that makes it simpler is to look at, well, where are you? And we are based in a building that was donated to us in 2015 by one of our trustees. I'm no longer going to be anonymising that. He was like, don't say anything. But it was one of the trustees, Paul Stock, who had a building he couldn't do anything with, and he gave it to the charity. And my measuring stick is simplified by saying how much of that building, which was effectively derelict when we got it, is up and running, in use, safe, clean, bright, specialised for different activities or resources, and how much remains still a bit derelict or not right to use or sealed off. And over the 9 and a bit years since the building came into the charity's possession, we're about 66% of the way there. It's a 28-room building. We've got 16 rooms that are sorted, and we still have other problems around it. But that's a good way of saying, well, with the canvas that we're painting on, we have now painted on quite a lot of it, and there's still a bit more of the picture left to fill in. So I'd view it as a sort of good analogy, the physical building as a comparison to the services progress as a whole.
And of the numbers of your service users, are they growing year on year?
Yeah. So when Elliot first started the charity, they would you'd meet up in a pub, wouldn't you? Like a back room in a pub, and there was a group of five-ish service users, and most of them are still with us now. They've kind of grown with the charity, whereas now every year the people will see the productions we put on, and they'll think, oh, I want to be involved in that. I love acting, but I've never had the opportunities because of accessibility or kind of ignorance towards their disabilities, and we give them the chance to do that. And we're very much like, we want an outcome to show their capabilities of what they're doing, and I think they definitely get that sense when they see their friends or people who are like them on a stage or in like a venue like Manchester Museum, and they think, I want to do that, I want to be like that, I can do that, these people are doing it, I can do it. And it's very, very inspiring for other people, definitely.
And I think that in terms of that growth, where we very, as Emily said, we very much started with that small cohort of people who were just a few friends who didn't fit with other services, who were like, can we do something? And they self-advocated. We want to do this, and the sort of the lightning in the bottle was saying, yeah, we'll do whatever it is you want to do. And back in 2012, the thing that was first asked of us as a charity was, can we make big budget sci-fi film, along the lines of Star Wars? And that's a really good kind of jumping off point, because the first thing the charity ever did was raise 937 quid over a few weeks to buy a camera, a load of props, a lot of pipe installation and metallic objects to make a sci-fi film that was 12 minutes long. Not great, but the point was it was inclusive. It was an example of taking this zany idea, but it was their ambition, and we made it happen. And
you did it.
Yeah.
You made it happen. Wow.
And every year since then, the same thing happens. They'll express a list of things they want to do, which will often sound some very practical and some very sensible. Let's not pretend it's all absolute, bonkers, massive things. There is often a lot of really, really sensible, very valuable, practical views that our service users express. But we also don't want to dismiss the big ideas. So that's how we've ended up doing, like Emily mentioned, Manchester Museum. Earlier this year, we did a full day-long arts festival called the Variety of Life Festival, where we took over the whole of Manchester Museum. We did music therapy performances, live dance routines. We had our choir performed. There were interactive crafts activities for the public to take part in. There was poetry reading. It was a full-on massive thing. And to sort of to compare, like, making a 12-minute film in 2012 to the scale of what we did there, it's massively different in its appearance, but the purpose of it is exactly the same.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the service users that access our service have always kind of been told, oh, you can't do that, or no, we can't do that because you can't commit to it for that long, or whatever, or there's lots of reasons why they might have been told, no, you can't do that, so we'll just kind of settle for the easy option of whatever they want to do. Whereas we're very much like, no, we can do that, we can push it. And like the Into the Woods production we did not long ago, that was over a year-long project where we had the cast had to commit to that once a week to get it to what it was, and that they love doing that. They love signing up to something. They love having that kind of, I'm here to perform, and I know I'm doing this every Thursday, and this is going to be the outcome of it. And yeah, I think just being able to showcase that, that's very much what we're all about. I think we love the arts side and having a creative outlet for people to express themselves, and they love doing it. It's not just like us saying, oh, let's do this, let's do this. They ask us, we want to do this, we want to do that. And there is a lot of drama companies in the Oldham area or the Tameside area for adults with learning disabilities, but I think ours differs in the fact that it's so structured, and we are always working towards something. There's always something to learn or an outcome at the end of it. It's not just, oh, we'll do this because it's fun. It's like, we need to do this because you'll get this at the end, and look at all these things that you can learn from getting that at the end. And yeah, it's fun.
And the kind of I'm going to call it the social heritage of what we've done is very evident with the people that have been with us for a long time, because they don't just sort of move on and just do what's current and what's in front of us at the moment. They'll always be talking about, remember in 2015 we did this? Oh, do you remember when we went and did this trip? Or, or when we did that performance at Yanks? Yeah, that was the first time we went out with the choir and did something with over 100 people watching us. And it creates those memories that give them an anchor point to continue to kind of renew their confidence.
Yes.
Whereas I think if you're just doing, I'm going to try to not how to say it. If you're offering a monotonous service, you're not going to create those individualized memories that they can look back on. If every day people came to a centre where they're doing the same thing, every day becomes the same.
Yes.
Our goal is to give people something to take home, and whether they are independent and they live on their own and they can sit there in the flat at the end of the night and go, I had a good day today.
Yeah.
Or go back to their mum if they live with their family and go, you know what, mum, I did something really quite amazing today. Can I tell you about it? And it's, whether it is up for the individual or for them and their support network, it creates talking points. And I think that's very, very important.
And so you, through what you do, you must see their confidence growing. And do you see other impacts made on their life?
Oh, definitely. I think a lot of, as I said earlier, when people first come to us, they are very much in the mindset of, I can't do that. And then after they have done a performance, and then they are passing on to other people, yeah, you can do that. You can, like, kind of encouraging other people to get involved and do it when they've kind of come from being shy and being, oh, I'm nervous, I can't do it. And they all say they're nervous, but it soon goes away.
It's manageable nerves.
Definitely. And everyone gets nervous before doing anything that they care about. It's like, if you don't feel that, you don't care enough about it. Like, you've always got a bit of nerves within anything.
And I think that then also kind of touches on another subtle function that we perform all the time, which is that so one of the many barriers that our service user demographic struggle with is that in the world of public services, everything's very boxed off. And one of the difficulties that occurs is that if someone with a learning disability, particularly if it's quite profound or if there's complex behaviours involved in it, if they have an episode of poor mental health or they're having a crisis, it is then very hard to get them into any kind of meaningful therapy or support, because a lot of the existing models, there are natural barriers that come up around, well, I'm not sure if they'll engage, I'm not sure if they'll follow the structure of it, the usual sort of reflection techniques might not be, appropriate. And because of that, we know that a lot of the guys we work with, they go through horrendous crises. They lose parents like everyone else does. They go through day-to-day issues to do with, social disagreements, bullying. For want of a kind of phrase about it, the majority of them are struggling with money because 98% of our service user group exists entirely off of a benefit income, and they have difficulty managing their budgets. So every day they've got all these things that are causing them stress, but they don't have the kind of support networks that more able people may be able to access. So part of what we do, and it runs through everything, like a very fine thread, is about expressing yourself, being comfortable with your feelings, being comfortable with being accountable as well. We make sure that everyone that comes to our service understands, and we use the phrase when we need to, you're an adult. Sometimes it's a good checkpoint to go, I know, you're wanting support and you're wanting help, and we can get you that. Within the limits of what we do, we will always do everything we can. But also reminding people, you're an adult. Just look at the world around you, and that you have to accept that you have, even with the difficulties you have, responsibilities and things, and you have to think about things in that kind of way. And we then will treat them in an emotionally mature way that maybe they don't get. And it gives them a chance to then talk about those feelings in quite an open fashion. And it's very, very important. We've had service users come to us where on paper, the objective of the activity of the day might be, today we are doing a dance rehearsal, or we're cooking tandoori chicken, or we're doing whatever. That's the headline activity. But someone will come in and go, I'm homeless. And you'll go, why? What's happened? Like, there's been issues with my family and I'm not safe. And I haven't got anywhere to go. What do I do? And we're like, okay. And, we manage crises for people, and they come to us not just because it's routine and they were coming to do the dance or make tandoori chicken. It's because they've built up a relationship, and they know that we'll have those open conversations and we'll try and help, and we're not overly constrained by structure. Which, if you went to a mainstream theatre company and said, hi, I'm homeless, or hi, I've run out of money, or oh, my mum's dead, they might not automatically go, well, that's within our remit to deal with. But
Yeah.
because we're there for the individual,
Yes.
that problem becomes something they can share with us, and we can do our best to help with, even if it's a fun activity that has brought that person in principle to see us that day.
And I think by like practicing something we very strongly believe in is active support. So you're not kind of just doing it for the person. It's like helping, being alongside them while they do it. So that because we know they're capable of doing things, but they might just need a bit of encouragement or a bit of guidance on how to do it. So just showing them where to find the information and saying, I'll sit with you. And if you do struggle with it, then I'm here and we can kind of take over and assist you in that way. But then it's kind of, as Elliot said, that they're adults. It's kind of good to know how to do things and how to manage. And a lot of them now, they are like with public transport and things, they are on it. Like I have no idea what to do on a bus or what bus to get where, but they know where all these buses go and how to get anywhere. And it's like,
and that then it kind of expresses itself through them also then helping each other. You know, for example, earlier this year we went to a disability awareness event hosted by Caritas at a church somewhere in Manchester. Gorton, that was it. We travelled so many places, I can't remember half of them. But we were going to Gorton, and we don't have a minibus. We don't have the resources to move everyone around, so they have to travel independently with a bit of guidance and support. And when we were going there, we had some new service users who didn't know where they were going, and before we even said something, two of our guys, Adrian and Alan, literally said, "We'll do a practice run. We'll skip Friday afternoon. We'll get together, meet us at this bus station. We'll practice the stops, and then you'll be able to do it on Saturday." We didn't even need to support or intervene with that because they got to the point where some of them are they're itching to help their friends.
They help each other.
Absolutely.
And they love that responsibility of kind of being given the chance to do that. So because that's really good to see for us anyway. Yeah.
Yes. And have they become a family?
Oh, definitely.
Unit.
Oh, in every sense, from sort of the sense of like understanding, tolerating, supporting. In some cases, you can see the depth of feeling. I'd even go as far as to say loving each other, through to occasionally massively falling out with each other as families do. But that's a part of a normal relationship, I guess, And there is. It's that thing of like, even the terminology we use. We often get people say to us, "Why do you call them service users? It sounds a bit clinical." And I don't know whose voice specifically I was imitating there, because what resonates in my head. But it gets asked from time to time by people from different external perspectives. So, well, first things is that we've asked them to choose what terminology to use for them as a collective, and that's what they want to use. But if it feels impersonal, you just need to then see how they interact with each other and how we interact with them day to day. Just because that might seem like a label, just as anything is a label, it doesn't kind of in any way reflect the fact that it is a really welcoming environment, and that welcome kind of, I'd like to think, travels with us when we go elsewhere to events or do shows, or our service users, some of them in particular, some more than others, but some are really, really not just proud of what they do with us, but they're very clear that they are representatives of the charity. And you'll even hear conversations where, if, for example, there's been, I don't know, a disagreement at the bus station or something between some of them, you'll often hear one say, "We are representatives of Pennine Mencap, and we have got values that we're meant to uphold." And they'll try and sort of say, think about how we conduct ourselves here. We should be doing that elsewhere.
But they also say we're not like we're representatives of Pennine Mencap, but we're also representing the learning disability community.
Yeah.
So, and that's kind of they love that they're part of that community, and they love that they're showcasing what people within that community can do. So yeah, I would definitely say that we are their safe space. So they are happy to kind of, well, not happy, but they feel okay to bring any of these dramas to us because they know that it's a safe space to do that, and that we can work through with them. And even when the Storm Claudia tore through our building, which Elliot will tell you all about because he was there last week, they were still ready to kind of be back in on Monday. Like
Oh.
10 o'clock Monday morning, they was there, and there was no kind of, I'm so scared to go back to that derelict building or whatever.
Well, I mean, maybe just to give the context to that story, let's tell you a tale.
Take you back 2 weeks.
Yes, back 2 weeks on the Friday. The time 11:39 a.m. The place Roadsbank Chambers. That's right, Roadsbank Chambers, 184 to 188 Union Street, Oldham. That is Pennine Mencap Shopping Centre. Please come and see us. So on a Friday we do cook along, which is our big group cooking session. Been doing it for donkey's years. It is. I'm unashamed of saying that's my baby. I'm very keen that, like, all the volunteers, staff, trustees, we all kind of bring what we're good at or what we're passionate about. And I love everything, but if I had to isolate one thing that I kind of have an iron grip on, it's like, I want to do the cooking sessions. So we were ready to do cook along, and we set up like the rooms on the ground floor to make it an extension of our kitchen. So we've got like 20 odd people can prep together, and we're going to do tandoori chicken and take microwave rice, jazz it up and turn it into like a fancy pilau rice and put pistachios on it. It was going to be
sounds good.
Another lovely Friday. And I ran up the stairs to the office to get something I'd forgotten. And as I ran upstairs, I heard a huge explosion and loads of screaming. And
That's not what you want to hear.
No, I mean, I was thinking about the pistachios. And as I came downstairs, thankfully the screaming wasn't anyone being ripped apart, but it was genuine terror. Because so the building itself, and we've obviously spoke a little bit about it. It is one of the oldest buildings in Oldham Town Centre, and it's massively unrecognised. For the main part of it is from 1853. We believe that one bay of it actually predates that and is a Georgian building. So it's not listed, which is a curse and a blessing in some ways. But in terms of its heritage importance, it has been massively overlooked for decades, and it's a bit of a heartbreaking thing. But the frontage is full height glazed windows that date from the 1920s, not in the best repair. We've really struggled with funding to do it because big pieces of glass, timber, the mouldings, trying to replace it has always basically been too expensive. So we knew it was, it was delicate to some extent, but it was safe. Unfortunately, it wasn't safe enough for Claudia, and it literally ripped the whole frontage out. The glass smashed across the tram tracks. We had to get the police, the fire brigade. We had to try to get an emergency joiner from somewhere, and when we finally did, he turned up and went, imagine these words, but with 100-mile-an-hour wind going sideways across the face. He was like, "It's not safe to work here, mate!" And I was like, "Don't go now! Look at that! We will help you!"
His wing mirror came off because you knocked into it.
I didn't knock into it. So, just to be clear, I didn't trash his van. What happened was, it was so windy that he went and picked up boards to board the front up, but he couldn't carry them out of the van. So we said, with 4 or 5 of us, cling on, human weight, it'll be fine. Even then, the wind picked us up and blew us, holding a sheet of plywood into the side of his van, knocked his wing mirror off, and it disappeared. So with all this, Emily wasn't in, but me, Tom, Maddie, we were all in the building and were relatively calm on the outside, but all of us, we could see in each other's eyes, we were dying. We knew this is a very, very serious problem. And then there were leaks coming everywhere else. Our service users, as Emily said, they isolated themselves in reception. They sat and had a cup of coffee. They occasionally poked their head through and went, "Is everything all right?" We're like, "Yeah, it's fine. We're just putting everything in the lift to keep it safe because it's not safe in here." And they were like, "Okay, right, we'll see you in a minute." And eventually we just had to, we called it a day. We evacuated. But as Emily said, they came back on Monday and not one person hesitated or was worried, even though we've ended up with a third of the building is boarded up. Securely enough, which is good.
That's credit to you.
And I don't know how, that kind of fortitude is in them, but it's very admirable that they weren't all scared to death because it was a horrible experience.
And you must have put them at ease. And
smile and grin and just go, it's fine.
It's fine.
Everything's good.
We're going to get a big mural painted in the building that says, "It's fine."
It's fine.
But I think, again, that's another sort of, if you had to sort of pick like different events in our storied history that sort of speak about the charity, that's quite a good example in the sense of, I think there's a lot of organisations that would have then said, right, well, we're not opening on Monday.
Yeah, exactly.
COVID's a really good example too.
I was just wondering that. How did you get through that?
Well, when lockdown arrived, we closed for 2 days, and in those 2 days, I went stir crazy. Cabin fever developed rapidly. I knocked a wall down on day 2. I don't like it being there. We need more space. It wasn't a supporting wall. And then we turned our hand to more productive ways to address the situation. We did everything online, like in a way that I don't think. And this isn't me blowing our own horn. A lot of people obviously did. A lot of people did lots of things online through COVID. We, for example, did nearly all of our activities remotely. We kept the same schedule for routine. But the most complex one with that was cook-along, because at one point we had up to 40 people doing it. And we make quite involved recipes, and it's different every week. So every week we had to source and make up 40 ingredients bags and then deliver them on a Thursday night all round Oldham, Tameside, edge of Manchester, up into Rochdale at times, and then live stream the cooking session on the Friday morning, knowing that everyone hopefully had exactly the same 73 ingredients that we had.
So they were cooking at home. And they were all linked in together.
Yeah, and we didn't have too many disasters doing that. It was tricky, but it went well enough that we maintained that to the point that even after lockdown had long since been brought to an end, we continued to do cook-along and some other bits online, because we had so many people doing that we couldn't physically then have returned them all into the building, because it actually grew during lockdown rather than shrinking. So we've adapted a lot to then find ways to kind of integrate people that we kind of met remotely during lockdown to try and encourage them to then be face-to-face parts of what we do. And that's actually quite an interesting point as well, because when we talk about this sort of family-like environment and the community, you can't always see, when you see a good integrated environment and people getting on, you can't see through that to, well, when most of these people came to us, they were isolated. They didn't have any social contacts or friends. They'd become part of it. And lockdown was a perfect example where I think it was the first time, in all honesty, that social workers noticed us, because they all became aware they were dealing with a lot of people in crisis. Most services were shut. And then it kind of became known that we were still remotely functioning. And we started to get referrals on a more formal basis in a way we hadn't done before. And now that's a good thing.
Good, yeah.
Because we want to be friends with Oldham Council. Yes, we do. Sorry. No, we always were very independent of that and very driven by self-referrals. And that kind of nudged the door open, where a dialogue got going with some people in adult services. And, you know, we're maybe not as embedded as certain other services are, but at least now we know who the team managers are, we know who many of the social workers are, we get referrals inwards in a more formal way, as well as self-referrals, and that is another step in kind of evolving what we do. We're becoming a bit more recognised, I guess, which is weird but nice.
Yeah, it's good. It's definitely a step in the right direction, because we know, like, and it sounds big heavy, but we know what we do is really good, and we know that, and we see the things that we do, and like we had our ball the other week, and
the celebration
ball. We'll tell you about that in a minute. It was wonderful. But even just looking back at like the mega reel that was on the board of all the different things we'd done throughout the year, it was like, oh yeah, we did that. Look how good that looks. Look how much fun everyone's having. Like just seeing what we do, and I think because it is very day to day for us, and especially like you've done it for such a long time, Elliot, but like doing these performances and putting in all this work and doing all of these different things that we do, that is just kind of, oh yeah, we do dancing on a Wednesday, or we do drama on a Thursday, but for other people who kind of haven't seen it or don't live it, it's like that's amazing, that's so impressive. And I think reflecting back, it is very impressive what we do, definitely. And it does help.
Very impressive.
We are so impressive.
Absolutely, mind-bogglingly so. But I think another thing is, to be honest, that we also really try to be very visual in our communication. We've always made the most of social media, at least as far as our time and resources go. So even where we do, for example, on a Monday afternoon, we do Walk or Wheel, which is just a nice, sedate wheelchair accessible walking group in and around Oldham. Sometimes we do bigger trips further afield, like into Southport or into the Dales. You know, every now and then we do something big, but it's generally quite localised. But when we do it, we make sure we get photos, we do a reel, we make sure that people can see what's going on. So it's not just, oh, what does Walk or Wheel? I just have a walk. You know, you need to see what that means to people and what that involves to understand what it is. And even our social groups. So
that's really good.
Our social groups are maybe the most conventional sort of learning disability type service we do. We do a quiz, we do bingo, we have
karaoke,
tabletop activities,
wow.
all that sort of stuff. And it maybe that's the stuff that doesn't vary quite to the extent that the performing arts do, or the zany recipes. It is more kind of a sort of steady baseline of activities, but we capture it and we share it, and it is still valid and it is still meaningful, and it is part of that thing of just getting the messaging out there. That just to sort of divert, because I love diverting.
Divert quite a lot.
I've gone left in my head, and I think another really nice and important thing is that where the majority of our service users are fairly independent and have similar sort of needs in some respects, it's also worth sort of highlighting that our environment is so broad that we have non-verbal people. We have individuals who need to go to a breakout space and be on their own for a period of time because they like to do physical movements and stim, and it's not always safe or appropriate to do that in a busy room.
No.
And even with challenges like that, our motto has always been, if we can do it, we will. So like we've even got one of the rooms at the centre is set up. It's just got some basic sensory lighting. It's got a nice garden lawn style foam floor and a bit of comfy furniture and beanbags, but it's a breakout space. And like one of our young men, when he gets very excited, he likes to stamp. He expresses himself through a lot of sound, and he needs a bit of space where he can just do that. Sometimes he also takes his top off as well, which isn't always it's a bit much for some people, but the point is that if he needs a space just to be himself, we've made one.
Exactly.
And we got that space up and running. So that space used to be Elliot's office before the big leak of 2023, where everything got destroyed. But then when we got the referral for this young man, it was like, right, we need to make a space, and we did it, and we went to B&Q and we got all the stuff that we needed, and the space was done in a few days, and it was like we knew we needed to do it, and we knew we had limited time to do it. So it's not got all the sensory stuff that we might want, but it's a space for him to do what he wants to do, and it's nice to be able to provide that.
And there wasn't another service for him. We're still gap filling, and that's still fulfilling the mission. And we as I said, where we've kind of made a bit more contact with adult services, not just in Oldham, but to an extent in Tameside and also in Manchester, we've had referrals where we've gone to do home visits with people, and they've been in the front room, sat under a blanket with the mum, and we talked to them about what's their routine like, what are they doing at the moment, and the answer is, well, nothing, because no service has been available for 4 years. My son has been at home with me for years because there is nothing, and I'm not capable of taking him out, so anything you can do will change his life. And that's, maybe it's not the picture of exactly what we thought we'd be doing at the start, but it's still the same thing of, here's a problem that no one else is solving, and we'll try. And I think this is a valid point that I'd also push out in relation to like where we created the little breakout space, and I obviously gave up my little office space to help make that.
You get to sit with us now.
I do, and that's why I've got some noise cancelling headphones so I can try and concentrate at times. But we have a very, very lively environment. But no, in all sincerity, like our ball this last weekend, we raised more there than we have at any fundraising event that we ever have, and we had nearly 40 business sponsors. We had about 40 different people and businesses donate raffle and auction prizes. Everyone, 100 people bought tickets. Loads of people just made extra donations on the night. We raised £14,000, and that is a huge, awesome thing, and it will help us do so much.
Yeah.
And then the flip side of everything, because I say something and I immediately think of the opposite. That is an amazing effort by people who are often, a lot of tradesmen came, a lot of our friends came, a lot of our service users and their carers and family members came. People that don't have a lot of money contributed as much as they could, and that makes those donations really important.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think when them coming to the ball and seeing the service users and listening to them do speeches and kind of what the charity means to them, that definitely encourages them to spend the money, because they can see what difference we're making. And I think a lot
It
of
is life changing, isn't it?
And I think a lot of the time, and it is quite sad that when people think of charities that they want to help, it is often the charities who might kind of help with end of life or children and things, and definitely the learning disability community or the autistic community, especially within adults, it's very much forgotten about, or kind of
It's less visible.
It's less visible, and it's like, oh well, what difference would it make if I gave to them? And I think we see every day the difference that it does make.
Exactly.
And we know the change that some of our service users have gone from when they first came to now. And I'd like, what else would they be doing? Where else would they be going? Like, what every day would they just be sat at home? How would they manage? And yeah, our service is definitely. It's important. It's very, very important.
It'll be a lifeline to them, won't it?
And I think people need to remember that, like, if they like children with disabilities, they grow up to be adults, and where like they kind of don't just always remain children with disabilities.
No.
They turn into the service users that we support, and they don't just disappear. Like
I think a lot of people have a perception, for example, that autism is a childhood condition that people grow out of. Maybe that is partly because a lot of people, obviously it's a spectrum disorder, and a lot of people will find better coping mechanisms, or they'll mask their needs. So it kind of maybe is less visible in that sense. But I think, every charity and every good cause is valid in its own way. I think the difficulty is that what we do doesn't naturally touch the lives of a big part of the population.
Yeah.
Like you say, like children, end-of-life cancer charities.
Everybody's been affected by
it's
that.
Easier to feel that personal connection. So I think that's why one of the many reasons we do so much to try and create a public perception is to try and get that emotional connection. It's nice to see people supporting what we do that don't know our service users, maybe haven't even met them, but they identify with it because we've told the story. And now I'm going to throw out, as I occasionally do, a challenge into the wider vapor of the world, which is, and this was where I was going to go with my sort of flip side thing a minute ago, where I see and understand and appreciate the commitment and giving that people make when they support us on a small scale, because that's what they can do, and it's big to them. I think the only genuine frustration that I have after 13 years of this, I've got lots of them, but one of the ones I'm going to share here is that we are in a deprived area, but there are people that are sat on a big pile of cash. There are some very wealthy business owners, people that have got quite ample resources, and it is very frustrating that in all the time that we've been doing what we're doing, we have reached out by various means to prominent local individuals who have ample resources to give to charities and love to be seen as doing so, and we never get anywhere. There's often been kind of reasons given of why other causes are preferred, and of course we've got no sense of entitlement. We understand that, but it is a moderate heartbreak that we and the people that support what we do have to work so hard to make small steps forward and do it in such an economically minded way, when I do still have this childish wish maybe that one day someone will be our fairy godmother, so to speak, and say, you know what, I've given 10 million to charity this year, I'll give you guys 100 grand, do what you need to do with it, make a difference. It would one day, an act of generosity on that scale, as unthinkable as it is, it would give us the freedom, because at the moment the funding that we get is mainly through grants, and grants are restricted. You can't say, oh God, our priorities have changed, or there's an emergency, or this has come up, we need to redirect this money to do something different. When you've spent 6 to 9 months working on a grant application and you feel that joy of getting the money, you're also then legally committed. You have to use it in the way that you planned, and we have to stick to that. And at one point, it'd just be lovely if we had some unrestricted money coming from some generous source that would help us to say, you know what, these 28 rooms that we've got 16 of them up and running. Could we just get the other 12 sorted? We could make, we need a confidential meeting room for difficult conversations that service users want to have. We want to make a space that's suitable for music, because at the moment our music therapist comes in on a Thursday. We have to completely change the layout of several of the rooms and move all the instruments and equipment, take it all out again. It's not soundproofed and so on. It's that thing of we can see in our heads how we could use that canvas and paint on it fully.
Yeah.
It is just resources. So yeah, I don't know. I try not to seem deflated or bitter or anything or ungrateful for the help we do have, but I also know that in a way time is important,
Yeah.
and the longer it takes us to get everything in place that we need to really be the charity that we want to become,
Yeah.
that every day that passes where we can't always do everything we want, that impacts negatively on someone.
Yeah.
You won't see it, but there'll be someone else who needs a service where we don't quite have space or we haven't got the right room.
Mm.
Things like that. So yeah, there we go. There was my
And I think we're just
appeal to the
passionate.
world.
We are just like, we're so passionate, every single one of us who works at Pennine Mencap or volunteers at Pennine Mencap.
Yeah.
We're all
Oh,
passionate,
gosh.
and we all kind of share the same vision of what we want the charity to be, and what we feel the charity deserves to be, and what our service
So you
users
all
deserve.
volunteers. You all volunteer your time.
Yeah,
to-
so a lot, and it's not just people giving money. It's people can come and volunteer, come and spend the day with us, come and volunteer at one of our events. Come and, if you want to paint a room, come and do that. We're happy for you to do that. Any help, drivers who can do our our collections for us from Lidl, Aldi, because we get the surplus charity donations from there as for our
Community
food, for our community fridge. So that's accessed by the community as like a food bank. People who can drive, who can just go and collect them in the morning, because at the minute it's like, who's available to go? We've got limited drivers.
Yeah.
Students who need placements, come to us. We're happy for you to gain experience with adults with learning disabilities who are complex and who you might not kind of, when you think of health and social care, you might think, I want to do a placement at a hospital or a nursery. You wouldn't think with in a day service or a day centre or an activity provision for adults with learning disabilities. But it's a very kind of good place to be.
It's very hands-on experience.
It's a very hands-on experience to learn, and kind of giving people a different outlook of what they can kind of go into, because it's not the obvious route of things that people might want to do unless they've got experience with family members who have the same difficulties as our service users might have.
I think with our volunteers as well, it's a wonderful kind of example of the cosmopolitan rainbow of society. So our volunteer base, for example, just to sort of, I will actively name check a few of them because they need some recognition.
Definitely.
So, for example, we've got an amazing powerhouse of a lady called Gladys, who is a Nigerian lady who comes in every Friday to help with cook along, and she is the most hardworking and enthusiastic person in that room. There's loads of hardworking, enthusiastic people in there, but Gladys absolutely goes for it. She is always moving around the room, asking if people need help. Does something need cleaning? Do I need to get something from the back kitchen? Do you need any more ingredients? Elliot, do you need any help? Gladys is there. She's amazing. And
Gladys was calm in the Storm Claudia when the window flew out.
She just walked through with a broom saying, "Would you like me to help?" And likewise, we've got a lady called Sue. Sue, bless her. So Sue is a retired lady who's been volunteering 1 or 2 days a week on reception with us for a few months now. And the mind-blowing thing about Sue, apart from just the generosity of her heart and how wonderful she is as a person, is that her husband had been deteriorating his health for a long time, and he passed away 2 weeks ago. And obviously this is a big traumatic, life-changing event. And Sue rang us we sent some flowers and sent our condolences 2 days later, but a week later she wanted to be back in. And today...
And she rang and she was so worried, am I still going to have my little job? You know, because she was worried that because she'd not been in, we was going to... of course you've still got it,
And she's now returned back in, and, you know, I this morning I came in and I gave her a hug, and we kind of looked at each other, and I asked her how she was, and bless her, she burst out crying. And we were having a chat, and she said, "I want to be here more. It's good for me.
Yeah.
I want to increase my days."
Because she doesn't normally do a Wednesday either, so today she'd kind of come in, and she's very good at sitting with our service users who just want to kind of talk at somebody for 3 hours, and she'll just sit and she'll listen, and she's happy to do that, and she's very, very good. And we've got Paul as well.
Paul.
So Paul used to work for he used to be a support worker, and he'd come with one of the service users and do drama, and then he retired, but he wanted to continue to kind of do performances with us. So he's like continued to volunteer in drama, and
with anything needed, really.
Yes.
I remember a few months ago, before one of the performances, we were looking at props, and Emily and Becky were looking at something that was down in Birmingham, and Paul wandered through the office, and he was like, I have to set up a room downstairs for the next activity. Do you want me to drive to Birmingham and pick that up for you? I'm like, no, we don't need, it's okay.
Yeah.
But that just shows the kind of, the core of volunteers are so giving. It's wonderful.
Yeah. And he has kind of been a big for us to be able to continue with drama, like his kind of contributions have been, because I know he doesn't want us to say how he contributed, but
he cut his back garden down as a prop.
Yes,
put it that way.
So
that's amazing.
He has kind of enabled us to continue with drama.
So if you want to volunteer, doesn't matter whether you are a student, you're retired, anything in between, what you can offer, please have a chat with us. Becky, our centre manager, is effectively our volunteer coordinator, so she will try and find the right role for you if you want to volunteer. And, we understand some people want short-term volunteering if they're looking for work, others are looking for something long-term to, give them purpose in their life. We can try and work with individuals to find something that works for them.
Volunteer Amelia as well. She came from University of Manchester. She's the volunteer coordinator there, and she came because at the University of Manchester they get 2 days to kind of go and volunteer, and then she just continued. She would work in the evenings so that she could come in the day and be in our production. She ended up in it, and all of her friends came to support. So. Yeah, but I know we've spoke for so long.
What an incredible team! And how do people become service users? Do they refer them? Are they referred to you? And what is the process?
They can either be referred by family, friends, social workers, and
health professionals.
So the learning disability nurses or anything like that. They can self-refer, so they can just pop in, they can ring up, they can get in contact with us on social media, and we can arrange for them to come in, have a look around the centre, kind of look at what activities we do that suit them or that they want to do, because not everyone is going to want to dance, and which
not everything we do
breaks
is dancing,
my heart. No, but I mean, it's not saying they have to come every day, but if they just want to do a bit of arts and crafts on a Tuesday morning, that's fine.
And referrals can kind of come to us either by pick up the phone and speak to us 0161 627 1025 Monday to Friday, or you can literally come to the centre, knock on, speak to someone. Obviously we're a small team, so we might be in the middle of something at the time, but we'll always make time to try and speak to someone that wants to join in with what we're doing.
And what comes next for Pennine Mencap will, because I know we've been here for ages, we do talk quite a lot. So next year, for our 14th birthday, our aim is to do 14 fundraising kind of things throughout the year. So we've already got our next ball penciled in. We've got a ladies' day penciled in, which is going to be an afternoon tea and things like that.
Lovely.
We want to do different quiz nights, paint and sip.
So there's something for everybody. There,
it's just kind of these little things that we can do that aren't massive events that don't take months and months of planning. They're just kind of small things that we can do that will
get people
involved.
And you must be breaking down barriers of ignorance that people might that they might have.
Oh, definitely.
And that's so important, because this is at the moment. It's a good thing that there seems to be more awareness of autism, ADHD.
I think that's a lot of the things, the kind of older generation, they have the mindset of these things didn't exist when I was younger, and it was they did, it just wasn't kind of recognised as well as it is now.
Exactly.
So it's very much people know what to look out for autism and ADHD, and even just learning disabilities and difficulties now. So it's it's kind of our older generation of service users are the ones who don't have the diagnosis, who kind of, they have always kind of just fallen through every single gap and have been left to kind of live independently when they can't
read the bills.
They can't read the bills.
They don't know what's in the bank account.
Yeah, like they have no idea kind of what to do, and it's very sad to see when you've got people coming who can't read and write, and they're getting all these bills and all these fines, and they don't know why, and it's like,
essentially it's opening them up to a lot of exploitation as well. That's something that goes under the radar that we see quite a lot, where people will either be very prone to being scammed online.
Mm-hmm.
You hear a lot about making sure that like older people who are not tech savvy are aware of scams.
Yeah.
Our service user group are constantly having to deal with fake profiles, people cloning their friends' profiles or appealing for money, or scam game sites where they think they've got things for free, but then they put their card details in and they've got no money.
Mm-hmm.
They are very vulnerable, not just to their living conditions, but to things like that. And in terms of sort of just coming back to the sort of thing around breaking down barriers and what that looks like in terms of diagnoses as well with people, I think it's really fabulous that as much as some people, as you say, go, oh, this didn't exist before, there's an epidemic, or do an RFK Jr. and launch an investigation to find out what's going on. In effect, the value of a diagnosis to someone is that it means they're safer. Because they go from being someone who, they're always making bad decisions, they're a bit of trouble.
They've forgotten to do this. They've left that.
All of a sudden, it clarifies that thing of, well, hang on, this person maybe needs some help. Because they have a difficulty that they're grappling with.
It opens up the support to people. Like, the diagnosis isn't a label of like, oh, well, everyone's got a label now. It's like that's giving you the opportunity to get the help you need and the help that you are entitled to. And I think that's what a lot of people don't kind of realise. But yeah, definitely like things kind of like that, like housing and just kind of general well-being and like hygiene. A lot of our service users have kind of no idea about any of that. They've kind of never been like taught, and it's just all kind of left to work it out. And one thing I'm very, very passionate about is kind of giving or providing them with like education on things like sex, healthy relationships.
Yes, that's a big.
I got in contact with a charity at the University of Manchester and got like 2 giant boxes of sanitary products and like mini shower gels and things like that, and I've made little packs for the ladies, and
which are beautifully wrapped.
They are beautifully wrapped
to the extent that a couple of weeks ago someone picked one up and presented it to someone as a gift just because it looked so pretty. It was a very practical gift as well, though, so it wasn't a bad thing.
And it's just it's like the period poverty and stuff. Like if people who kind of are managing their bills and managing their money are struggling to afford sanitary products, people who don't manage the money, they're not going to prioritise that, are they?
No.
They're going to think, well, do I want to eat today, or do I want to buy sanitary products? And they're gonna choose to eat, and that's fair enough. So just being able to provide them for free, it's a good thing, and just being aware of kind of the end the stigma on like periods and stuff, and just giving them that education and just to not be kind of embarrassed and things.
Yeah, because they might be overwhelmed.
Frightened. Yeah, and it's a big thing, especially where like as a woman, like women's bodies are crazy. Like, there's so much going on all the time.
It's a full-time job.
But just letting them know that this is all normal. It's fine. Like, and just being able to help them in that way. So that's something that's happening in the new year, starting like courses on like sex education and online safety and things, healthy relationships, just things like that people might not have been given the opportunity to do before, because people might think, oh, people with learning disabilities don't need to know about that, and it's like, well, they do, because they need to be safe. They're vulnerable to all of these things.
So in terms of we're looking ahead. We're going to have another exciting year, and the part of that fun is that we don't quite know what it will entail. I think just to sort of wrap up our contribution with one final, simple, wonderful image. You touched on integration a while ago. I'd just like to kind of leave it with what has become my favourite sight each year in what we do. At the end of our celebration ball, which this year was at Billington's, not far from here, who really looked after us, lovely little venue. We packed that room out. At the end of all the things that happened, meals, speeches, raffles, whatever, we just have a party and we put music on and we have a singer and people get up and dance. And because we have a real strong mix of members of the public and people we support there, when everyone gets up to have a little party at the end and just dances around and enjoying being silly with each other, you look around and you think, that man manages an IT company, that man's a roofer, that person's a solicitor, he runs a jewellers in Southport, and they're here with our service users.
Mayor of Oldham
and Eddie and Kath. And it's a sort of thing of just that wonderful release of sometimes just doing something simple that really brings people together without barriers. It is great fun, and it's nice just to sort of have those moments where everyone's weight is lifted and no one has the barriers up. So I'd like to sort of share that as a sort of final happy memory of our recent experiences and the sort of thing you can look forward to in years to come with Pennine Mencap.
Yes, I think we got everything we needed to.
And more.